What's up, guys? Scotty2Hockey here, aka the average hockey fan once again. And today I'd like to talk about a player in Montreal who took a lot of criticism last season, and I'm not going to say it wasn't well deserved. He had a great first 30 game start, and then kind of dropped off after the All Star break. Jonathan Drouin. I'd like to hear some fans' opinions, and at the end of the video, I will do a kind of an in-depth take on what I think Drouin will do next year and how his career has been going. I said, hey Habs fans, I'm doing a Jonathan Drouin video soon and would love to hear your opinions on this subject. What kind of season do you expect from JD? How many points does he finish with? Will he stay in a top 6 role and thrive or get demoted and regress? And possibly even traded. George Russell Jr. says gets traded for a second and a third round pick. Then the Habs signed one of the big name RFAs out there. This has still been not so much a rumor, but something a lot of fans have said they want. And after his drop off last year, when he was depended on to help get him into playoffs, I can understand why some fans would feel that way. Tyler Whitmore on Twitter, says I think Jonathan Drouin will thrive with Max Domi and Nick Suzuki, so he thinks Max Domi and Nick Suzuki will be his line mates. I think he'll have a breakout year, score 25 goals, around 60 points, and really start to reach his potential. JF on Twitter says I predict a career year for Joe. 65 points, 28 of those points being goals. There may be times during a game he gets demoted to open his odds a bit, but I don't see him having a bottom 6 role for games on end. So some people have faith in Drouin, some people don't have faith in Drouin. A lot of people, you're either one way or the other when it comes to this player. Jeff on Twitter says he can't be worse than he's been. At least I hope. I think he'll get 70 points and redeem himself somewhat. If not, we will be selling low. And that's another big talking point with Drouin. He did match his career high this year, so a lot of teams could probably use him, and he does have value now. If he plays bad, his value will obviously diminish. Jesus CH on Twitter says Jonathan will be so bad he will be a healthy scratch by game 10. He'll get his act together after a verbal spanking and get a respectable 45 points, mostly on the third line. Don't forget to put Drouin's agent Alan Walsh in your video. So shout out Alan Walsh, Drouin's agent. Chris J on Twitter says only if you can surround him with higher quality players. Only then will his production increase. All flash, no sizzle. Well, I have to say, Max Domi is a pretty high quality player. Yes, Arturi Lehkonen cannot finish, and other players that have been on his wing, but Max Domi's pretty quality, and I thought he was pretty good with Drouin in the time he was there. Paul B on Twitter says Drouin had zero chemistry with KK, so I see him going with Domi because they're not going to be split to the no line. Domi and Drouin made each other better early in the year, and if they find that chemistry, there's no reason why Drouin can't have 60 points. Harati Sharatis on Twitter says fans will change their opinions about JD. After next season, no one wants to trade him anymore. It's going to be a successful year. So Harati Sharatis thinks after next year, the whole trade Drouin talk will just go away. Kind of like the Fire MB talk last year happened. And that kind of went away pretty quick. Michelle M says, I predict 22 goals and 70 points. He will be a better player. And last but not least, Devin Burt on Twitter says if he's with Domi, probably 50 to 55 points. So Devin Burt thinks he'll have kind of a similar season to last year because he had 53 points last year, playing with Max Domi for the majority of it. Now, we look at Drouin's career, insane junior numbers. The last 2 years in junior playing with Nathan MacKinnon in Halifax, he had over 100 points. Came into the NHL, put up a respectable 32 points in 70 games in his rookie season. Then in the last year he played in Tampa, the year before last he played in Tampa, he had 10 points in 21 games, but he really thrived in the playoffs. He put up 14 points in 17 games played in the playoffs. So he came into the next year with a lot of hype around him. He played a little bit in Syracuse, then he went back to Tampa, and in 73 games played, he had 53 points, 16 penalty minutes, and was a minus 13. But look at since he's come to the Canadiens, look at the drop off. He only had 46 points in his first year in Montreal and was a minus 28. And this year in 81 games played, he did match his career high, but was also a minus 8. So as for Drouin, the thing with Drouin is I think he's a really good, young, talented player. And him and Max Domi do have very good chemistry. And he showed in the first 30 to 35 games of last season what he can do when he gets it going. I don't know if it's he has bad cardio or he was fighting a nagging injury or the work ethic just isn't there. But after the last, say, 30 games, he really, really fell off. The one big game he had against Winnipeg after the All-Star break where he put up 2 goals, 2 assists, looked absolutely dominant, helped Montreal to a big win. It looked like he was going to get it really going after that. There was only about 35 games left in the season, and he put up 1 point in his last 20 games after that, and was virtually, you couldn't notice him on the ice. So I understand where a lot of the flack comes from Drouin, but myself personally, I think it's not the time to trade him. The kid still has a ton of talent. He obviously wants to play in Montreal. He's from Quebec. Put him on a line with Domi. Give him another chance. Hopefully he's had a good offseason, put on some muscle, some better work ethic, and comes back strong for the Habs. I think he'll put up around about 60 points. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and of course, have a great day. Scotty to Hockey, over and out.